All right, guys, so in last week's video, I talked about how I had found 25 potential FBA products in only a week. And I talked you through the process that I went through to find those products. So in this week's video, I've decided I actually want to share some of those products with you to give you guys a much better idea of the types of products I'm finding, but also as a thank you to those guys that are continuing to support this channel and watching these videos week in and week out. So thank you to everyone that continues to support the channel. So I've got a handful of products to go through. We're just going to dive into the analysis, talk about some of the things that I found interesting, and also some of these do have a couple of red flags, and also some of the products that I've decided not to proceed with just yet. That doesn't mean they're a bad product, it just wasn't the right fit for me at this particular time. They may be a great fit for you. So make sure you watch all of these products as you may find your next FBA product. So up first, we have Smellproof Bags, or a Smellproof bag is the actual exact term to be used, and that was the one with the highest volume. Now these seem to have one particular purpose, despite the fact they can't really say that on the listings. You also hear them being called stash bags. And being completely honest, it isn't something I have a huge amount of experience with. And I always talk about with Amazon, if you go into a niche that you understand really well, you've got a much better chance of developing a great product. So if I go into this niche, unfortunately, my lack of experience in this niche won't give me an advantage that I'm looking for. Whereas some of the people watching this video will have a lot more experience with this and will know how to develop this product and how to stand out and what sort of thing will appeal to the potential customers. But let's just have a quick analysis of this niche so you guys can get a feel for it. So the first thing I always check is the search volume history. This gives me a feel for seasonality. And this looks pretty stable throughout the year. There seems to be a bit of a pickup in the summer months or in the warmer months and a slight drop off in the cooler months, but overall pretty happy with that seasonality. Always check to make sure the products are comparable. You can do that by quickly scrolling down the search results or just hover over the thumbnails here. Now, the vast majority of these are comparable. You have one or two down here which are kind of slightly different, like rucksacks and stuff, but the majority of these listings are comparable. We then look for any brand domination. Now, there is a little bit of brand domination in this niche, but what's more important I noticed is actually a lot more people in this niche compared to many of the products I analyze, they're using niche specific branding. So I use a generic brand myself, but if I came into this niche, I think I would probably need a brand designed for this type of product. So we've got one here called Fire Dog. They've got a few listings, Stashic, and you've also got Stash Bros as well. So if you do come in with a generic brand, it may not give you as much of an edge as some of these guys here that already have niche specific branding. Price point is okay. I don't touch anything now with a price point of less than £15. Preferably you want to be £20 up. So there seems to be an average price point in this niche of around about £20. You can certainly push up to, well, there's a couple here at 25 if you have the right offering. Demand is pretty good towards the top of the organic listings, but it certainly drops off quite quickly. And I think this was one of the major things, in addition to the fact I don't fully understand this niche, that put me off. I like to see the demand run a bit deeper than that. You've got some GB sellers, which is always a positive sign. If you've got GB sellers, it shows that it's possible to make a profit, or it should indicate that it's possible to make a profit as a GB seller selling on Amazon UK. Fees are kind of what you would expect with this type of size product. Review averages are actually pretty good. Now this may be something to keep in mind. I don't like to see too many products with 5 stars. So 2 of the top 4 will have a 5-star average as a 4.8 or above. It's very difficult to maintain that. So that'd be something to keep in mind. But the rest of the niche will be averaging 4.5 stars. So if you can average 4.5 stars, there is a chance you could pick up some of those sales. Review count indicates that it's possible for people to break onto the first page with only double-digit or low 3-digit reviews. And come across a bit further here. Most of these fall into the small parcel or envelope categories, which are going to be pretty cheap for fulfillment. And you have one listing in the last year, actually 2 listings in the last year in the organic results. So overall, this is why it made my shortlist. It ticked a number of the boxes, but it wasn't perfect. And that's something to keep in mind with any potential FBA product. You're never going to find a perfect product. There's always going to be 1 or 2 areas that won't exactly meet your criteria, that you're going to have to compromise on. So it's about finding a product that fulfills enough of the things that you're looking for. So for someone else, they may be looking at this niche now going, I know exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to stand out in this niche. I've got a great idea that's going to help them really push that price point up and help them capture the most amount of sales. So that's why I wanted to share it with you guys. Now in last week's video, I also mentioned the Search Expander plugin, which is part of Helium 10. And this helped me find the next product I want to show you, which is the Smellproof Container. Now, they sound very similar, but they're actually completely different product ranges. So these are all bags, whereas the containers, these are all hard container products. Okay, you've got one or two that are bags, but the majority are container products. So when we get down a bit further, it starts to go back a bit more into bag territory. So really, we're looking at the top 15 or so organic results to get a feel for this niche. So let's just run through X-Ray again. We know that the top 15 are reasonably comparable. There seems to be just as many people doing niche-specific branding here, with a couple of others joining the party that weren't in the other niche. Price point, a couple at the higher price point are further up in the search results. Demand seems to run a little bit deeper, which is always a positive sign. And I like to see this slow drop-offs, 400, 300, 200, 100. That's always a good sign. It shows that the sales are quite well spread. If you go into a niche where you've got a few sellers doing 500 or 600 and all of a sudden it drops into double figures, it shows that's soaking up the majority of the sales. But this spread is a much more promising thing. That is much more appealing to me. Oh, we didn't check the seasonality, did we? So let's see what the search volume's been like. Pretty much follows exactly what we saw with the Smellproof bags, just a drop-off in the cooler months. Again, we've got a couple of GB sellers. The fees look reasonable. We haven't got any 4.8, so everyone is already averaging 4.5 stars or below when people actually see the listings, and the review counts again show it's possible to get near this first page with only single or double digit reviews, which is very promising. Come over a bit further. These ones are, we've got 1, 2 listings in, 3 listings in the past year. So overall, actually to me, this is probably a slightly more appealing niche than Smellproof Bags was, or Smellproof Bag was. So this will certainly be something of interest to me, and is why it made it onto my shortlist. And if you're thinking about maybe selling a Smellproof bag, you may want to consider a Smellproof container as well. Maybe you can develop a whole brand around this niche of products, especially if it's one that you understand well. So moving on to a different type of niche, we now have dog walk-in bags. This is a product I've looked at many times over the past few years. And the main reason I decided to rule this product out this time around is the demand, surprisingly, dropped off super quick. Like if you look at here, look how quick this suddenly drops off into double figures. Like I say, I like to see a gradual fall away, not two, a couple of listings here, 800, 900, then boom, people really struggling to get sales. So that's what put me off. Also, the price point was a little bit on the low side. You can see the average is £17, but that's not really the case because you've got 1 or 2 here which are really dragging the overall niche average price up. Also, I've seen this a few times and I don't know how they are getting away with it. It's even happening in X-Ray. These guys here, somehow they have got the first part of their title in bold. And if we actually go to the listing here, actually they're not there, they're up in the top right corner. Look at these guys. How on earth have they got Perfect UK, the winner 2021? One, they're using text they shouldn't be using in the first place. You shouldn't be able to say that because if you go into the listing, there's nothing to actually back up that information. Awarded what winner? Who's given them a winner? And 2, how on earth have they got that bolded? So if anyone knows how they are hacking the system, because there's no way a product with 17 reviews should be at the top of the search results. Now maybe it's just happening to me, but if anyone else, go onto Amazon, put in dog walking bag. Is this coming up as the first listing for you? Because something fishy is going on with that listing. But the reason this niche appealed to me is I have a dog, so I believe I have ideas of how I could develop this product well. Let me just bring up X-Ray again and go through some of this from left to right. Branding, no real concerns there. There's no brand domination. Like I say, price point was a bit on the low side. Demand dropped off a bit too quickly. Seasonality, I forgot to check the seasonality over the last year. Pretty solid with a bit of a pickup in January or the end of January. So not much to be read from that. I think I'd be quite happy with that as consistent demand throughout the year. And we continue on. We've got a couple of GB sellers. You've got the fulfillment fees, exactly really what you'd expect them to be for a product of that size. However, we do have a couple of products. Like I say, this one here at 5 stars, which something's going on with that one, definitely. Another 5-star here. But people on average, averaging 4.5 stars. So not a red flag at all for me. Nice and small tier for the fulfillment fees. And then on the right-hand side, we do have some new entrants into this niche, 4 or 5 actually in the past year or so. So that's why it made it on to my shortlist, but for the other reasons that I mentioned, that's why it hasn't made it onto the list of products I'll be proceeding with. Now this product here, I had it on the list of products to show you guys, but actually it's something I'm looking at again today and thinking this ticks a lot of boxes. So This is a very, very interesting product to me. This is jewelry stand. Has good demand. We think this has got, let me just run X-ray. Let's go straight into the stats for this. A search volume of 15,000. That is a healthy search volume. Yes, we are in peak season at the moment in December and January. And that is why I put it onto my maybe list, because I wanted to come back to this in February and March and see what the stats look like in your typical season rather than looking during peak season, because we can use these lines to try and estimate what search volume will be like and what sales will be like. But when we're seeing such big peaks like this, I would prefer to wait and I'll reanalyze this in a couple of months. And if things look good and the levels I see here are interesting for the majority of the year, then certainly this is a product that I will be considering. So from left to right, we've already done the seasonality. No one's dominating with brands. Price point is pretty good. You've got a couple, 1, 2, 3 over the £20 threshold, which is a positive sign. Now sales, if you are a new seller, possibly, let me just filter the results and get rid of the sponsored listings to make this a bit clearer. If we look at the top kind of 10 to 15 organic listings, or the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These demand levels are possibly too high for most sellers that don't want to invest more than maybe a couple of £1,000 in Amazon FBA. Now for me, this product would actually be quite a good fit because I have the budget to take on a niche like this. And once you get past these higher demand products, there is quite a nice landing zone here, kind of a fail-safe area of around 150 units per month. So you might target more, but as long as you get ranked in the top 20 to 25 organic listings, there's a good chance you're going to pick up some of these sales. So this demand runs nice and deep, although the top of the niche maybe is a little bit too much demand for people with smaller budgets. But certainly if you have a bigger budget and you feel confident about your business, this may be something to consider. We've got some GB sellers. Fees look absolutely fine on a quick look through. Ratings, what have we got? No one's averaging 5-star. Great, that's a great sign. And reviews, there's nothing to worry about there. 2 in double digits on the first page, 3, 4 in double digits, and most only in 3 figures. So that's really promising to look at. Come over to the right hand side. Most of these are standard parcel, so again the fees aren't going to be crazy high. You have got one Amazon list in there, but only one of them isn't something I would worry about. But on this right hand side, we only have one listing, and that's we've got one listing here really in the top 15 to 20 or so results in the last year. So it could show that the niche is slightly trickier to get traction in, but the fact one person has done it, and when I look at the existing listings, I mean, none of these, let's just go past the sponsored, none of these are blowing me away. I mean, I don't think they look great. I really don't. Ignore these ones. Come back down to the next set. Are okay. I really think if I launched a product in this niche, I could do something that would appeal to a lot more people than the existing listings currently do. So that's why it's on my shortlist, and anyone considering an Amazon FBA business at the moment, you might want to take a closer look at jewelry stands. Next up, we have these guys. We have anxiety rings. This has big demand as well. So let me just show you what anxiety rings are. Now, most of these are they've tried to make them look like typical jewelry, but I think there's a opportunity here to launch a product that doesn't look like typical jewelry. I think you could do something nice with this. So this is the type of products that are selling. It's basically a ring you can fidget with to help release your anxiety. And there is big demand for this. Look, 15,000 search volume. And also, if we look at the sales, they run really nice and deep. Possibly, again, demand levels are too high for a brand new seller with a smaller budget. But from left to right, we know the products are comparable. No one is brand dominating. The price point is on the low side though. There's something to keep in mind. If I was coming into this niche, I would really want to be pushing up as close to that $14.99 as possible to give me the maximum margin to work with. Sales, really, really good, run nice and deep, so we like to do that. You've got a few GB sellers in there. Fees are nice and low. So if you can source these products cheaply and you can sell at £15, there probably is an opportunity in this niche to make money. Come over a bit further. Ratings are actually really low. So if you can get a 4.5-star or even a 5-star product in this niche, you will really, really stand out. And there's lots of people with double figures making it onto the first page. Now, the thing that put me off going into this niche, and for some reason the data is not loading today, so I'm not sure what is going on. The thing that put me off is when I looked at the creation dates, I would say 9 out of 10 of these listings were created in 2022. Now, when I see a lot of new listings in a niche that isn't kind of like a fad niche, this is something that's been about for a few years now. it always raises the red flag. Why are there so many new listings? And when I looked into it, Amazon have restrictions around selling fidget spinners. And I think what's happening, there is some overlap between these fidget rings, as some people are calling them, and the fidget spinner niche. And I'm wondering whether that's causing issues getting approval to sell these products, and maybe listings are getting suspended. So people get on there, they make some sales, the listings get suspended, so they relist and go again. Now that may not definitely be the case, but when I have an unanswered question, so why is there so many new listings, I would rather walk away and focus on other products where there is more clarity. But I just wanted to share it with you guys. It's a super interesting niche with really good demand, opportunities to stand out, and the existing products aren't that great. But there is that issue of why there are so many new listings. Now, before I get on to the final product that I want to share with you guys, if you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate you scroll down and hit the like button. And of course, if you want to see more from me, subscribe to the channel. And throughout the video, I've been using X-Ray from Helium 10 and Search Expander from Helium 10. So if you do want to try that, use discount code FBA Elite 20, and that will save you 20% off of the first 6 months. So I'll pop that up on the screen now, and also it will be in the pinned top comment. So on to the final product that I want to share with you guys. And this is laundry basket with lid. Now, there is a search term with a high volume, which is laundry basket. And if we bring up the search expander, you can see here laundry basket has a search volume of 47,000, which is huge search volume for Amazon UK. Whereas laundry basket with lid is only 11,000, which is still a really, really healthy number. And the reason that I'm looking at laundry basket with lid is if we just look at laundry basket, which covers every single possible variation, the demand is just too high. I mean, look at these sales figures that you've got here. 10,000 laundry baskets, 1,500, 2,000. The demand is just too much for, I would say, 99.9% of people that are ever going to watch this video. This demand is too high. It's too high for me. So that's why I wouldn't look at laundry basket. However, if we look at laundry basket with lid, and this is why it's so important to have the tools to be able to dive down into the keyword data. And if we look at this again, despite the fact we still have a couple of sellers, let's strip out the sponsored results again to make things a bit clearer. We may have one or two of these listings here in crazy figures, which are obviously ranking well in just laundry basket. But laundry basket with lid, the second organic listing is 220 sales. Below that, there's 295, then 442, 259, 202, 166, 193. So in this niche, I think you have a landing zone of around 200 to 250 units to aim for with this type of product. The price point is really healthy, so it's very much depends on the type of product, how high you can push this, but there doesn't seem to be an arbitrary cap of like £20. If you've got a great product, as these guys are, they're pushing high at $39.99, $49.99, even $53.99. They're doing 200 units per month. So from left to right, they're all comparable. They've all got lids. No real brand domination. You have got Song Mix in the niche who I've covered in previous videos. They have a huge range of FBA products. So if you fancy doing some product research, go through Song Mix product range. They have some great products to consider. You have some GB sellers there. FBA fees are quite high, which I'm going to come back to in a moment. Ratings, generally around 4.5 stars. You have got one will show 5 stars, but the rest are going to show 4.5. Review counts, look at this. Free reviews, 53 reviews, 2 reviews, 1 review in the top 10 to 15 organic results. That is a really promising sign for a search term that has 11,000 search volume. But then we get to the kicker, and the reason why this product doesn't appeal to me and why I advise most new sellers to stay away from it. And that is, you see a lot of fulfillment by MFN. And the natural thing that I would take from that is the product is probably too big or heavy to sell via FBA. Now, there are still some FBA sellers on here, but because of the fact these are quite large products and people are using MFN, that is why when we go back to the fees column, if I can actually get the scroll bar, we go back to the fees column, you can see these fees are quite high. Now, I wouldn't say you should completely rule this niche out, because if you can come up with a product, let's see if I can find an example from these organic listings. So this is no good. Maybe it's something like this one here. This type of product will flat pack. It will collapse and it will flat pack. So if you could launch a product that you can compact well for transport, so for importing to keep your shipping costs down and also helps keep your FBA fees down, then I think there is an opportunity in this niche, and that's why I wanted to share it with you guys. So those are some of the products that I found when I was doing the product research. If you want to follow the process that I go through to find these products in the first place, I'm going to pop up a step-by-step video now which shows you guys exactly how to do that, and I'll see you guys over there.